The Commander Rules Committee has given control of the format to Wizards of the Coast, who has just hosted their weekly MTG stream to talk about it, and I'm here to tell you what that means for the future of Commander. I'm BZ, joined by Amber and Red Amogus. We're the Nitpicking Nerds, sponsored as always by CardKingdom.com. It's the best place to go to buy Magic singles, accessories, and you can even use our link in the description to not only support us and yourself at the same time by letting Card Kingdom know that we sent you, but also to see which cards we recommend personally. We have our own little page. It's pretty cool. We're also sponsored by Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse. You can use our code NERDS at checkout to save 5% of your real hard-earned money tax money dollars. That's a tangible amount of money to save just for using the link. You can use them on things like the 25th anniversary sleeves, perhaps. We're also sponsored by Moxfield, but not yet. Slow your roll. Feel free to guess. You will be wrong. And we have Patreon if you want to see exclusive content that you can't see on YouTube. That's the best place to go for that. We are also bonus sponsor Fogley Okens. This is all new art from one of Magic's most iconic and recognizable artists, Phil Foglio. This is 36 new token arts, with 36 more coming if they meet the stretch goal for this Kickstarter. We've got things like Dragon in a hot air balloon, Squirrel holding a nut with an acorn hat, and my personal favorite, Phil's take on Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm as the Wormcoil 3/3 lifelink token. So if you want to check out all that awesome stuff, you can use our link. This runs until October 17th on Kickstarter, so check it out. So to delve into this topic, I want to start out by saying what actually happened. What is going on? What are we even talking about? So the main topic is that Commander, the control over the Commander format plus the ban list, it shifted over from the Rules Committee, which it was currently under, to Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is now going to dictate bans. They are going to be examining the format, determining conversations for power levels, and many other things, I'm sure. There was also today a follow-up Q&A which peaked at 6,500 viewers, where they answered a bunch of frequently asked questions, or questions they assumed would be the most pressing for this crazy announcement that nobody saw it coming. So Aaron Forsyth in the Q&A actually stated that they never wanted to take over Commander, which I thought was very interesting. A lot of people had accused Wizards of the Coast of conniving behind the scenes and trying to usurp the Rules Committee. I think they said it pretty clearly that they were not interested in that, but they sort of had to with our next subject, which is, why did this happen? Why did Wizards of the Coast have to come in, and why did the Rules Committee also relinquish to them? What actually happened? Well, this was a direct result of threats of doxing, harm, and literal death to the current members of the CAG, of the Rules Committee, and possibly, it's not confirmed, but maybe Wizards of the Coast employees as well. I mean, we've said it before, this is embarrassing. This is disgraceful for anyone who's a member of this community to be engaging in this behavior. If you're threatening people, if you're even joking about it, if you're treating this lightly at all, you are the problem. You need to go away. I really don't want your apology. I actually just want you out of the space. It's not something that I think is worth exploring an apology for. Just get out of the space. Me and Mia are people that, if our names and information gets leaked to the public, we probably have to move. Our entire life is going to be turned upside down by these types of threats. It's not something to take lightly at all. I'm assuming most people watching this video are on the same side as me, but it's still worth saying that if you were even considering any of these actions and you don't think that there's a problem with some of this stuff happening, you are actually the problem. So where does Commander go from here? We have this big bombshell. We've got the Rules Committee dissolving, the CAG dissolving, and now we're going to be putting it all on Wizards of the Coast. So where does Commander go from here? That's the main crux of the video. What does Commander look like now that we have there's a new sheriff in town? Well, the Rules Committee, the former Rules Committee, I should say, is consulting with Wizards of the Coast. So they're already starting off, I think, on the right track by taking direct input from the people who were in charge of the format 3 seconds ago, and they're not gonna just kick them to the curb. They're keeping them close. They're learning from them. They're gaining information. Wizards does not want to change the vision of Commander. They've said that specifically, both, I think, in the initial announcement and on the Q&A that just took place today. Gavin said it was critical that this remains a community format, which means taking input, asking people, getting data, and not just ruling with some iron fist. He actually compared what they are looking to do for the new management Commander thing, which is currently unnamed because nothing is planned right now, similar to the Pauper panel, if you know about that format and what that format is doing. Sort of like a small group of people who are very entrenched in the format. They know what's going on, giving advice and suggesting these things and possibly making these decisions. We don't have any names at the moment because this is very new. I mean, this Q&A, I was surprised they did it so quickly because they have some information, and I'm glad I waited to make this video until the Q&A because it's silly to ask questions that might just be answered in a day. But yeah, this is in the early stages. I think also one of the points that came up a lot was like, guys, Wizards of the Coast is in charge now, so they're just going to ruin everything because something Hasbro. Well, Aaron Forsyth did touch on this a little bit. He's like, yeah, you guys are here for the love of the game. Me too. He's also here for this. He says, yes, Hasbro wants things, but I have the freedom to execute for the better of Magic. That's paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. And he said the goal of Magic is to last forever. They're not trying to get their money, enrage everybody, and then just leave. I think that's pretty clear. There's a lot of just doomsday talk, and Magic is dead, and Commander is dead for the 50th time since I made a YouTube channel. Commander's dead again, everybody. So dramatic and just unnecessary. They are going to be looking, in addition to those things I said, at a ban list reevaluation. So they are saying that now that they've took the reins of this format, they want to reevaluate the ban list. And I think what this is looking like, based on what they were saying in the Q&A, is that bans seem unlikely from this point, and unbans are maybe neutral. They're unclear if they want to unban anything, but I would assume from what they've said that there will not be bans in the next change, but there potentially could be unbans. And whatever community panel they create is going to be involved in those decisions. What they said was they wanted stability, which I think is what we all want also. And I think Commander, at least in the long term, has been a pretty stable format. Like the last week's been crazy, sure. But I mean, we can all agree that we do want a stable format, which did lead them to talk about, well, how often are you going to announce that cards may or may not be banned? Is there going to be a quarterly thing? Is it going to be with every competitive announcement of that? And they said that they don't want to align it with the BNR cadence of other formats, and that they do want to maybe include one CEDH member in this panel of some sort to advise, at least, and have the CEDH community's best interest at heart, which I thought was interesting. And this has not been announced yet, but Moxfield.com is our sponsor for today's video, and you forgot about it because we're all about drama today. But Moxfield has no drama. They already told you, if you play a banned card, you'll be able to see it in a nice, clean outline red. Oops, you forgot to cut Dockside from a deck? Well, Moxfield will show you without sending an alert to your phone. You just can scroll and see it. Very easy, very fast. Thank you, Moxfield. So if you want to know what I think and what Mia thinks as well, and what Red Amogus thinks, Commander's going to slowly improve. That's my best bet here. That's what Commander's basically always done, spoiler alert. I think it will continue to slowly improve over time. There may be some hiccups along the way, but I don't think there are going to be any hiccups that destroy the game, because the people behind all these decisions love the game, and they're on our side, and they want to make all of the same great experiences that we want to have. I think any conspiracy theory that you have bouncing around in your brain is just not justified. That's what makes it a conspiracy theory. The people talking about insider trading and like bot accounts sending messages, absolutely like unfounded, ridiculous nonsense. I just don't understand why people are not capable of putting down their phone or computer when they are upset. It's not justified to start throwing around rumors and all this crap just because you're upset. I don't think an emotional outburst like that does anyone any good at that. And the idea that Wizards is just going to print OP cards now just to make a quick buck, and then they're going to turn around and ban them. Where is this coming from? They've admitted in previous pieces of media and today, Lotus, Jewel Lotus, Dockside Extortionist, Arcane Signet, and even Command Tower, these are confirmed mistakes that they do not want to repeat. They're learning from their mistakes, and they are going to not do these things again. They've readjusted their philosophy for what gets printed into Commander and what kind of knobs they can tweak in terms of like, what do they want for a Commander experience? They are working to not make more Docksides, not poop out another Mana Crypt in 2 years, sell it to you in some collector booster, and then ban it. This is so bizarre to me, because we have plenty of other formats where they could easily do this, and they do not, right? Like Fury. Fury was a card printed specifically for Modern, and they banned it in Modern. It's like, it was too good. It ended up being a mistake. They fixed it. They banned it. What else are you supposed to do when you make a genuine mistake on these cards? I do not understand. But WotC is listening to the players. They are literally answering people's questions. They literally are answering Q&As today. They want to work with the community. They want to build a better ban list format, rule zero, player experience. They don't want to scam people out of $10 and then, ruin their Commander or Magic experience for the rest of their life. What other changes can we expect on the way in the future for Commander? There are a few here, actually. They are working on a sort of untitled, they're going to call it like a Commander power bracket to protect new players, strangers playing in LGS, people who don't have rule zero conversations or can't have them, or they're playing over spell table, whatever. I think a lot of people can agree that these are the players that most need protecting, because if I'm going to go to a friend's house and play with like my 3 closest friends, we can do whatever we want. We all understand this. We are all very enfranchised. We are chronically online, and we know everything about the inner workings of Commander. But the people we want to protect are the people who sleeve up a precon, have no idea what's going on, and then get stomped by a mana crypt rule Jewel Lotus. Like, this is the type of person that we want to protect. So I think this power bracket is looking to sort of not replace rule zero. That's still like the bedrock of the format and really just anything. It turns out if your friends agree on something, you can play a game a different way. But they're trying to replace this sort of like power level 1 through 10, pretty nebulous zone. Gavin made a pretty good point about like the first 6 out of the 10 power levels kind of don't exist. He was talking about that today. I agree that they can exist, but like practically, how often do you see them? I don't think you see them very often. Previously, when I was looking at, what do I want to grade my decks 1 through 10? I was taking into account that kind of stuff, but I just don't know how necessary it is. They're having me question it now, for sure. I'll definitely have to think about it. So the way they did this is they sort of have bracket 4 cards as the strongest, then bracket 3, then 2, and then bracket 1 is basically just every other card that isn't, some layer of competitive or like unfun or toxic. Like they mentioned specifically Swords to Plowshares and our boy Grave Titan falling in the bottom category. I will mention some other cards in that bottom category as well. So they're saying essentially if you have a Vampiric Tutor in your deck, that's a bracket 4 card. So if your deck has a bracket 4 card, if your deck has 1 Vampiric Tutor, they tend to would just round it up and say that that's a bracket 4 deck. I think this is relatively fair. And then if you've got some nuanced discussion to have from there, like, oh, my deck that's a 4 because it has blah, 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 it actually plays more like a 2 and really only has 1 4 card in it. So yeah, you can say I'm playing some goofy, wonky Kindred deck, but I've got 1 Vampiric Tutor in, and then the table from there can discuss. I do think that's a little bit more helpful than saying I'm playing a 7, and everyone goes, cool, me too, and then nothing ever gets set up. Again, just for the people in the back, this is in the very early stages. We are getting information. It's good to have this information, but let's not assume that WotC needs to make a decision tomorrow or already. They did not know that this was going to happen a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever. This is extremely new. They were planning on possibly running some sort of beta version of this bracket thing that would still be getting data from players, possibly by Vegas. They said that in the Q&A today, they said that was one of their goals. So I'm excited to see that. I will be in Vegas. I will let everybody know if I'm exposed to that. I'm definitely open to it for sure. And the elephant in the room, though, is Sol Ring. People were asking about it in the chat. They were like, what are you doing with Sol Ring? It's a busted card. And they took a pretty firm stance. I didn't expect them to just give an exact stance on Sol Ring, but they said Sol Ring is not going anywhere. And it's going to either fall in some sort of bracket 0, where you assume everyone plays it and it's not considered a problem card, or just straight up bracket 1. I think, if they were going to take an action on Sol Ring, it can't be right now. It just doesn't seem like they want to. Like, sure, maybe in a year and a half, I'll make a video about how, hey, I think Sol Ring could be banned. But right now is just not the time to just dogpile all of this negativity on this super fresh version of this format. This is how you get people to quit. This is how you get people to not show up, to sell their cards. It's just, there is no reason right now. We've been given no reason to just be ridiculously negative. How incredibly boring and predictable it must be for someone to just be angry and to complain about every change before they can even possibly predict an outcome of it. It's just so tiresome after all these years of just seeing people just complain and just, this is bad because it's a change and everything was perfect up until it changed. I'm just really, really sick of it. The other thing, on the more positive note, that they are working on still is there's that silver bordered project that the rules committee was working on. It's it's not dead, but it is on, I would say, like indefinite hold until the commander panel, WotC, whoever this ends up being, figures out the big stuff. Do they want to unban some cards? Do they want to, they got to fix this power bracket thing first. Where does CEDH factor in? I know they're not going to splinter off the format, but there's definitely still a lot of questions. I am going to link in the description for the articles. You can check those out. And now this would normally be the part in the video where I ask what you think in the comments, but honestly, I don't care. I feel an obligation to make this video, to post it so that my audience has, what I consider to be the correct information as things have been laid out from today and from yesterday. But we're so early in this process and have no actual reason to distrust what Gavin and Blake and Aaron are saying on this, that I'm just going to ask everyone to have some actual patience here and play Commander. The average Commander game is 0% changed by this ruling. I just please would love everybody to internalize that and just keep playing games the exact same way that you have before. If you want to check out more information on the bans, you can find that video right here.